there. J.R. Shepherd dives down to the inside, trying to see if he's able to get a little bit of that tack that Brandon Proudfoot has been getting up at the front of the field. 10 laps to go here at Port Royal.
Yeah, not making a huge ground here on Brian. Brian's able to maintain that gap.
It's Big Justin Morton back into second with J.R. Shepherd somehow taking over the lead. I have no idea.
Guys, you see Scott kind of using up all that momentum. Going to enter the corner wide. I expected him to kind of cut back low. See lap car down on the inside. George overshoots the corner. Scott puts that car just where he needs to on the middle. It's going to be a drag race through the kink. Thomas George gets loose. Scott Eckridge has the opportunity to come home with a win right now. Side-by-side drag race.
Oh, wow.
Scott Eckridge, 5/1000ths of a second.
Virtual Grip Network and the Bootleg Racing League welcomes you to the Dirt Street Stock Series live from Limaland Motorsports Park in Lima, Ohio. I'm your host, Kenny Kibbe. Alongside me in the booth is John Hine. Ryan Seneker is controlling the cameras tonight. Last week at Weed Sport, we saw early calamity take regular contenders J.R. Shepherd and Brandon Proudfoot out of winning contention, leading to a dominating performance and a first win of the season for William Hargraves. John, this track is a completely different animal from Weed Sport. How would you describe this quarter-mile bull ring?
This is one of the best tracks I think we got on dirt. It's a fun track, has multiple lanes, and things happen fast here. If you see it, you're probably in it kind of track.
Yeah, it's definitely a place where it's hard to hide it being only a quarter mile, but it's really wide, which makes it conducive to the different lanes. You see on the track map there the weather just below 70 degrees. And John, these drivers got 2 more minutes left to practice, and it looks like this track is getting pretty tore up at the moment.
Yeah, and and that all helps here, because here, the more tore up it gets, the more options you actually get as a driver. You can start to move around and use the top, the bottom, the middle. We have a big field tonight, so I expect all 3 lanes to come in at some point in time tonight.
Yeah, we have about 25 drivers enlisted here to try to make an 18-car field. Should be really exciting. Some drivers hardly getting any practice out there. We'll see how they fare in the heats. But we'd like to take a quick look, if we can, at the point standings coming into this race. We got about a minute left in this little warm-up. And Zachary Loomis, relatively newcomer to the series right now, leading the points, and he's leading by just 6 right now over William Hargraves. Adam Carlisle's been another strong newcomer. Then some other familiar faces in Billy Northcutt and J.R. Shepherd. But John, the season here is still relatively new.
It is, and we've got a couple of changes too that have taken place. We have qualifying points, and they're doing 4 laps out there, so everything has changed up just a little bit for these guys, and I think they're still getting settled into a little different routine, at least from the start of the night, and I think that's kind of jumbled the field up a little bit.
And you see down there in 15th regular series winner and champion Brandon Proudfoot. He's had some struggles this season, had some technical issues, some issues on track, and it's been a slow one out of the gate for him, but he is in the field tonight. We look forward to watching him and all the other drivers compete. About 20 seconds left in this practice session. And John, at this stage of the practice, the mentality changes completely as we head towards qualifying. But remember, like what you said earlier, it's now down to 4 lap average for your qualifying. So how does that kind of change the way you approach qualifying, knowing that you have to get 4 clean laps down for an effort to be scored?
Well, luckily for this track, you're down towards the tires in the corner. So the thing you want to make sure you don't do is turn in too early, clip a tire, because one incident point will negate all 4 laps. So when these guys first pull out, they've got to weigh how aggressive they want to attack the corners to being smooth, because a lot of times smooth is fast, so these guys are going to have to weigh that option. And we go to other tracks at this. I think that'll become more of a factor. A place like Fairbury, where you're up against the wall and you catch that right rear on the wall, boom, your 4 laps they're gone. You're going to start towards the back. So this one, they're on the bottom. They should all probably get through pretty easy, but one little mistake here, this field's so close, it can still cost you immensely.
For sure can, and the track gets reset. We saw it was so worn in the practice, but now it's reset down to 10% usage, and that will wear out throughout the night. And with a 25-car field entering tonight, that's definitely going to accelerate the wear and tear on this racetrack. As we're watching here, we saw Brandon Proudfoot. We're looking at, I believe it's Steven Spies out on the track right now, putting some qualifying laps down.
Yeah, he was a late entry here, got in just in the nick of time, and so he's one of the guys that you mentioned that didn't get a lot of practice laps in here. So he's kind of doing this almost kind of raw here. We'll see if it hurts him any.
Yeah, there's one driver going up towards the top of the racetrack there, which you're kind of playing with fire on the dirt side, especially if you decide to run the high line in qualifying. Again, you have to avoid making any kind of contact with that outside retaining wall. At the moment, Brandon Proudfoot is at the top. He has completed his qualifying effort with a 15.471 average. That's not quite a tenth above Chris Davis in second, and the times are now flooding in as you see the leaderboard permeate here. All drivers, the leaderboard times will not update until their 4th and final time is put down on the board.
Yeah, and still a pretty close field. We got a lot of guys in the 15.5s. Brandon Proudfoot is up top with a 15.4. He's got a 15.47 to be exact. And the other thing too about doing that, the guys that are going high are going to be towards the bottom. The high side is not where you want to be in qualifying. The only time during qualifying I'd be going high would be in turns 3 and 4, coming to the initial green to make that front straightaway as long as I can to really get that whole qualifying off to a good start. So yeah, those guys up there, they're playing with double fire because it's not the fastest way around, and you might get in the wall up there.
And you would think that track position is going to matter a whole lot. Now, we saw at Weed Sport last week, it was pretty difficult to pass in the feature. May or may not be the same story here at Limaland with it being very wide. But regardless, you want good starting position if you can get it, because quite a few drivers are going home tonight.
Yeah, you're going to be under pressure from the get-go tonight to do well, whether it be qualifying, whether it be your heat race. The last thing you want to be is in the last couple of rows of last chance qualifier, because things that might get a little crazy back there, because you guys you're going to have guys that are desperate to make the show, and desperate people do desperate things sometimes, and boy, that can lead to contact real quick.
Yeah, definitely can. I'm taking a look there at Pennsylvania's own Matt Chinaski, who's shown up tonight. Good to see him. Zachary Loomis has actually taken away the pole time at a 15.442, about 3/100ths faster than Brandon Proudfoot. William Hargraves, last week's winner, 3rd place at the moment. Billy Northcutt in 4th. A lot of familiar fast faces up in the top 5. It's a pretty stacked field. I mean, you go all the way down. I mean, Steven Spies, who's a regular front runner, he's down near the bottom portion of the top 10.
Yeah, and we'll take a look at the top 8. The top 8 are separated top 7 are separated by a 10th. That's not a whole lot of space. So that tells you how much rooting and gouging is going to go on when these heat races fire off. When you're less than a 10th apart, your line and what you're doing makes a difference. It'll be very, very difficult to pass here early on.
Taking a look now at Johnny Ratley, who has been a multi-time winner in the Bootleg Racing League Dirt Street Stock Series. Nice to see him make a return. One of the late qualifiers here. Only him and 3 other drivers have not made a time yet. I'd say this is going to be the biggest bullet for Loomis to dodge when it comes to qualifying on the pole. He gives out his final lap time, and actually not as high up as I thought he would be, a 15.605. I really think this qualifying format, it's going to reward consistency a lot more than just having one single fast lap.
Yeah, like I like to call them, the one lap heroes probably hate this system, because before they had 4 chances to get their good lap in. Now you're under the gun from the time the green flag. There's no pulling off and waiting to see where your time holds up and then come back out. You gotta go from the get go.
3 drivers did not put down any times. We'll get ready here for heat race number 1. I believe we're going to have 4 heats tonight. So on the pole for heat number 1, Zachary Loomis. Starting second is Adam Carlisle. Third is Steven Spies. Fourth place is Bobby Hayes. John, you want to take the final 3?
Yeah, starting 5th is the number 32. That's Michael Menes. And the starting 6th next to him will be the 93 of Chris Hazlip. And rounding out the field, a guy who did not take a Q lap. That's the number 25. That's Brennan Myers.
So again, top 2 will advance directly into the features, and normally in BRL, or at least as of late, you don't really have to worry a whole lot about advancing directly into the feature because you're pretty much guaranteed into the feature. But now, those top 2 spots are going to be fought harder for than they have in the past because of the fact that so many drivers are going home, and even if you don't make it through into the feature directly, you want to get as good of a starting spot in that B or C main as possible.
Yeah, I was going to say 3rd is going to be just as hotly contested because 3rd and 4th, if you're finished 3rd, that guarantees you a front row starting spot in your consi. I'd be uncomfortable if I was anywhere other than on that front row in that consi.
Yeah, for sure. And do you think, John, that the bottom lane will be the place to be here, at least for the first few heats?
Yeah, probably. I would say it'll start to widen out probably towards the end of Heat 2, Heat 3. Then you'll start seeing guys kind of move around a little bit, but I still think the bottom is going to be dominant through the heat races.
We go around turn 4. We're getting ready to start heat race number 1 tonight at Limaland. Zachary Loomis fires off. He doesn't have a whole lot of an advantage going down to turn 1. Adam Carlisle goes up high, maybe looking for a crossover. He's got a good run. Nowhere to take it, though. He goes up high. Steven Spies diving down below, trying to make the low line work, and Carlisle with really good drive off of turn 4, able to clear into second. Our first side-by-side battles for 3rd.
Yeah, Spies is hanging on to 3rd, and the number 13, he definitely wants it there. Those guys are really battling hard for it there. Bobby Hayes in that 13, Spies in that 55. The top 2 have kind of settled in, and when you're up there like that and you're in the top 2, you've got your ticket punched if you're there. You tend to be a little more patient, but boy, I tell you, those guys in the back, though, they need to move up.
Yeah, and remember, there are points on the line, too. There's points on the line in qualifying and in the heats, so there are quite a few motives here. As you see Carlisle dive into the inside of Loomis. These are only 6-lap heats. They go by really quickly. 2 laps to go. Loomis clears down into turn 1. Carlisle still experimenting and working on him, though. A little bit of a tap to the outside fence, and here comes Steven Spies, dives it down deep into turn 3.
Yeah, we got 1 to go here, and Carlisle has got some pressure from the 55 there with Steven Spies right behind him as they go around the track and through 3 and 4 for one last time. See if Spies has anything for him.
Yeah, he does duck underneath, but it's going to be Zachary Loomis to win heat race number 1. Carlisle hangs on for 2nd in the final automatic transfer spot. Steven Spies in 3rd. Bobby Hayes will come home in 4th. Michael Menes 5th. Brennan Myers does gain 1 spot up to 6th. And then Chris Hazlip ends up in 7th. So not a whole lot of track position change there in that first heat. Take a look at the final results there for heat race number 1. And we get ready for race number 2. We have Brandon Proudfoot on the pole for race number 2. J.R. Shepard is next to him in 2nd. And Jason Best starts 3rd, John.
And starting outside row 2 there in that 4th position is going to be the number 6. That's Dylan Corey. And starting out back in the 3rd row here for this heat race, it's going to be the 94 of Matt Shanowski. And the number 56, that's Robbie Robinson.
Matt and myself are getting ready to run Petit Le Mans tomorrow morning, so Matt's getting a little bit of fun playing in the dirt tonight. I hope he does pretty well tonight. But anyway, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see here JR and Brandon Proudfoot. It looks like Brandon's going to take the top side, and You know, John, watching that first heat, it really looks like the extreme bottom is just not giving a whole lot of drive off. It's like everybody wants to run the middle.
Yeah, and that probably be why Proudfoot wants that outside. You know, going all the way up to the top isn't there yet, but that groove widened out significantly during that first heat, and I think it's going to even do so more so here. By the end of this heat, you're going to see these guys way further up the track in the corners.
Here we go. Pace truck is off, and there goes Brandon Proudfoot launching off the cushion and barrels down into turn 1 for the first time. J.R. Shepard follows him through and is clear. First side-by-side battles for third between Jason Best and Dylan Corey. Corey has the upper hand on the high side. Still side-by-side, though, as the two leaders try to scamper away. Ooh, and driving deep into the turn 1 is Jason Best. Contact is made. We have a 3-car pileup in turn 1. All these drivers trying to recover. We'll see if anybody has damage, but they all continue on. We will stay green. There are no cautions in the heat races, but that pretty much settles the first through third finishing order.
Yeah, it does. It looks like Proudfoot and Shepard are kind of pulling away. Dylan Corey is sitting there kind of hanging up back, but not really in a position to challenge JR for that second and final transfer position.
Yeah, Jason...
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Jason Best was trying to run down Matt Shinoski. They're trying to regain that 4th position. He might be able to do it. He is closing lap by lap, and this is really all he can fight for at this point as we come to 2 laps to go in this heat. Now, he can't afford to make the same mistake twice. He dives down to the inside. Will he try to slide up in front of the 94? Not quite clear, as the leaders have taken the white flag. Still watching this battle on screen as Best is going to slide up in front. Well, he's going to give the lane, but down the backstretch, down into 3, Brandon Proudfoot has led from flag to flag, and Proudfoot will win this heat race number 2. J.R. Shepard cruises to a 3rd place finish. Newcomer Dylan Corey with a decent finish in 3rd, and yep, Jason Best able to clear into 4th ahead of Matt Shinoski and finally Robbie Robinson. These heats really zip by quickly as we're on to heat race number 3 as you look at the results of heat race number 2. Again, Proudfoot winning that one. It's got to be a very big relief for these drivers if they do transfer directly into the feature. But heat race number 3, the lineup. William Hargraves will start on pole. Alongside him is Chris Davis. And starting in 3rd will be John Wilson.
Starting 4th will be the number 12 of Hunter Hill, and out back 3rd row will be the number 58, that's Matt Hoos, and the number 5 of Christopher Hill.
Yeah, these heats have not had a whole lot of passing, and everybody's really been fighting for that middle bit of the track. But I really think these 6-lap heats, a little bit of contact even before the before the green flag falls. I wonder if that will be a little bit of a telling of how this heat will face, or how this heat will be.
I'm gonna guess Hargraves is a little confused there to get tapped about 100 yards after you roll off for the parade laps there. But you know, the track has got a lot of tack in it still, so you know these guys are all in momentum cars. Everybody's run roughly the same speed. That's why the passing's been so difficult. But I am starting to see the slick start to roll in, the dark patches that are in the corner. These guys are going to start to lose grip, and everything will even out.
Here we go. Heat race number 3 is green. William Hargraves takes that lead. He ended up choosing the bottom. That'll be interesting to note that later on when it comes to restarts. And Chris Davis is right on his tail. He looks high, he looks low, trying to maybe diamond the corner a little bit, trying to get an extra drive off the corner. These two have cleared by a few car lengths over John Wilson, who's trying to fend off Hunter Hill. Wilson drives it in deep, not quite clear of Hill. Now he is clear down into turn 3. There's that yellow car. That's John Wilson. You see, there you go, Hunter Hill, the first driver to really decide to push the cushion up at the top.
Yeah, he's up a lot higher, but trust me, they can go a lot higher than what he is.
Right, and that will continuously go higher and higher as the night goes on here. But, you know, somebody's got to be the guinea pig to kind of try to push that that groove up, and Hill's definitely been trying that. It hasn't been successful quite yet. Chris Hill looking underneath him. You're taking a look there at really the whole field at the moment, as Chris Davis is starting to peek his nose underneath of William Hargraves, but he's still just not getting the drive off that he quite needs. And yeah, John, it really is starting to dust up in the bottom to middle grooves, but still it seems to be the preferred line. But white flag already in this heat race number 3. It's been a clean race so far. Chris Davis trying to make one last effort, unable to do so, as William Hargraves will cruise to a heat race victory. Chris Davis in second, John Wilson cruises to third. Christopher Hill gets by Hunter Hill for fourth, and then bringing up the rear end there, Matt Hoos. We'll look at the finishing results there. William Hargraves again with another victory. That'll be some important points for him. And we'll look forward to heat race number 4. Billy Northcutt will start on the pole with Cody Shaw starting second, and Johnny Ratley will be in third.
Starting fourth will be the number 41, that's Shane Calhoun. And in the back row tonight for this final heat race is going to be the number 81 of Joe Segala. And next to him will be the number 11 of Grady Wade.
Some interesting players in this race, John. You have Johnny Ratley starting on the outside looking in. We know he's a proven winner in this series. Cody Shaw, relative newcomer, up there starting in second. Shane Calhoun, another newcomer in the field. Grady Wade as well, relatively inexperienced in BRL competition. So this heat could be the most unpredictable of the bunch.
Yeah, absolutely. And the track now is becoming a factor too. It's not quite as hammered down. It's pretty close to it, but it's not hammered down like it was. These guys are now going to be having to start to search for grip out there to get their lap times in.
And definitely the drivers that were in the first heat or two are definitely watching this heat to take some notes for later on. But here we go. Billy Northcutt puts his foot on the gas, dives down to turn 2 or turn 1. Did not have the greatest jump. Cody Shaw really kept up with him up into turn 1, but Northcutt clears, and Cody Shaw will look towards the top side. You're taking a look at Johnny Ratley. Ooh, as Joe Segala in the background there dives into turn 3, able to get by Calhoun. And he's side by side with the 11 there of Grady Wade. They're kind of almost grinding on each other there through 1 and 2. Yeah, a little bit of contact there. Still going at it. These two bouncing off each other, but we have a 3-horse race up at the front of the pack.
Yeah, Grady Wade got into the 41 that started that whole melee in the back. But yeah, we got a good battle for the top 3 there. The 3 of them are just under a blanket there.
You know, it's looking like, John, that Cody Shaw's car just a little more yawed out than what I would like to see. I feel like he's scrubbing off just a little bit of momentum. I think you want to keep that car just a little bit straighter.
Yeah, you would. And he did a little bit better there, 3 and 4. But yeah, anytime, a lot of people, you know, when you see it on TV and you see that back end out, people think, oh, that's what you do. You throw them in there. And the funny thing about dirt and the secret about it is it's not too different from asphalt. The straighter you can keep your car, less wheel you've turned to get through a corner, the faster you're going to go.
White flag is out. Johnny Ratley shoots up to the top side, trying to steal that transfer spot. Will he dive down to the bottom in 3? He does. The 99 car runs the middle, and Billy Northcutt will steam home to a heat race win. Good job by Cody Shaw to hold off the charge from Johnny Ratley to take that last feature spot. Ratley in 3rd. Wade ends up 4th. Segala 5th. And Calhoun ends up 6th. But that was some good racing there. It was definitely the most exciting throughout the pack out of all the heats. And John, you got to think that if you were in the first heat or two, you're definitely watching for some note-taking here as we enter in for the C main.
Yeah, just watching the track, how it progresses, you know, watching the different lines and which ones go, which ones don't. That's what you're kind of looking for. The nice thing is these guys are going to get a warm-up session before they go back out. So even between now and that warm-up, we've got 2 B mains. The track is still going to go through a ton of change before we get to that point.
That's for sure. As we look at the grid for the C main, we got Steven Spees on pole, John Wilson 2nd, Bobby Hayes in 3rd, and Chris Hill will be 4th, John.
And starting 5th will be the 32 of Michael Maniz, and next to him will be the number 12 of Hunter Hill, and out back is Brennan Myers and Matt Hoos, but I hope, did Matt get in? That's going to be the big question here, because I saw that he disconnected, and yep, he did get in.
Yep, he just did get in. Now, John, only the top 5 will make the feature, so 3 will go home after this C main event, and it's only 8 laps. That is not a long time to make things happen.
No, and I expect these guys, if you're outside that top 5, that intensity that you saw start to build in that last one where you guys look to be getting a little chippy, I think it's just kind of ratcheting up now because this is go or go home time.
Is for sure. You see the field being backed up a little bit farther away from the pace truck there, controlled here by Steven Spies. And I expect even the drivers towards the front are going to want to make some progress because they want to stay as far away from that cut line as possible. Green flag is out. Steven Spies with a good jump down into turn 1. And we watch them all fan out here as drivers will show desperation and go in any lane possible to try to make some passes here.
Contact between the 13 and 32. They're kind of dooring each other going through the corner.
Really surprised to see Brennan Myers actually save that car and keep going. You see their side-by-side contact there, Maniz and Bobby Hayes going at it. You see up at the top of the track, Hunter Hill really pushing the issue up at the top, and Steven Spies, our leader, has actually ventured up to the top.
Yeah, and it opens the door for John Wilson there below him. Now Steven comes back down the track, so he was going up there and testing the waters. I'm sure he's listening to his lap time, so he knows, okay, I was a tenth slower up there, so he'll know to run through that middle probably a couple more laps, and then I would be surprised if he doesn't go back up and give that one more test before the end of the race.
This is a glorious blimp shot here from our director, Ryan Seneker. Can really see all the drivers in the lanes that they're deciding to take in the corners. Fanning out 3 abreast here through turn 1 and 2. Bobby Hayes trying to open the door on Michael Maniz. Maniz doing a really good job holding off that 3rd spot. And we actually had a change for the lead there. John Wilson has gone in past Steven Spies for the lead, but they will advance to the feature at this point. Coming to get 2 to go, and right now the bubble spot is taken up by Hunter Hill in 5th.
Yeah, there's actually a pretty good battle for that 5th final transfer position.
Yeah, right now it's between both of the Hills, the Hill and Hill
Yep.
show for 5th place. Hunter staying religious to that top side. Christopher been running the more kosher bottom to middle lane as the white flag is out. 1 lap to go. John Wilson trying to hold on. Steven Spies is trying to make the bottom work once again. We'll see how aggressively he dives down to turn 3. He does get down in there, but John Wilson will have the momentum off of 4. He will win this C main, and coming to the line, it's going to be Hunter Hill. Holds on for the final transfer spot, stayed true to that high line and was able to get it done.
Yeah, he got a big run coming out of turn 4. He was behind in turn 4, and that momentum just carried him down the straightaway. That's the first time I've seen the momentum do that. So goes back to your note taking. That's the first time I saw that, so that's good. We know it's coming.
Take a look at the results there. Wilson, Spies, Maniz, Hayes, Hill, Hoos, and Myers in the C main. We go ahead here to the B main. Dylan Corey on pole. Starting next to him will be Johnny Ratley. Jason Best will be in 3rd, and 4th place will be Grady Wade. 5th place will be Matt Shanoski.
Starting in 6th will be Joe Segala. Starting 7th will be the 56, that's Robbie Robinson. Starting the 8th will be the 41 of Shane Calhoun, and 9th will be the 93 of Chris Hazlett.
We had 3 drivers go home from the first, or the C main, and we'll have 4 drivers go home here from this B main, so an even larger field here in this one. Dylan Corey has control of the field. Johnny Ratley starting next to him. And like you said, John, this track really changing, and I think the change is going to be accelerated as we go green here. It's going to be accelerated by the fact that more drivers on track means they're going to be trying out different things more often. It's not going to just be a train of cars going around the track.
No, and in the feature, even when you're out there for that warm-up between the two, the track will change from when they go out to first start their warm-up to the end. So that's the fun part about dirt racing. You got to stay up and read the track and stay up with it.
Oh, we had contact there for 5th between Matt Shanoski and Joe Segala back there. Shanoski clears for 5th. He will be in the bubble spot. You see a battle facilitating here for the lead. A little bit of contact for 3rd between Grady Wade and Jason Best. Ratley trying his best to clear Dylan Corey here, and I think Ratley's going to have the preferred line as he clears him down to 1.
And 2 distinct lines now formed. You got guys that are up high, and you got guys that are staying right in that middle. It still looks like that middle might have a very, very slight advantage, but that advantage is about as small as it's been all night.
And John, when you're in traffic like this and when the lines start to open up, it really comes down to decision making. Oh, we have contact off of 2. Matt Shanoski, wheel-to-wheel contact with Robbie Robinson. He's in the fence. He was on the bubble spot. That will take him out of contention to advance into the feature event, and that totally puts Robbie Robinson all on an island by himself in the bubble spot.
Yeah, wheel to wheel, you usually don't see that in stock cars, but boy, I tell you, that Shanoski's car jumped in the air when they made contact there.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty violent impact, but 2 laps to go, and the top 4 still relatively close to each other. Johnny Ratley controlling this field here as we grab the white flag. A good run for Dylan Corey in 2nd place, and we have a side-by-side battle here between Grady Wade and Jason Best. Remember, Best had a rough going in his heat race, so he fell back a bit, trying to gain some more spots. Coming off of turn 4, though, it's Johnny Ratley who will be victorious. Dylan Corey in 2nd, and it looks like Grady Wade comes home 3rd. Jason Best 4th, and Robbie Robinson gains 2 spots in the B main and ends up advancing into the feature. So a good run for Robbie Robinson there.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the go-homers are going to be Joe Segala, Chris Hazlett, Shane Calhoun, and Matt Shanoski.
Yeah, plenty of go-homers here, but we now have a little bit of time here. 5-minute warm-up. This is arguably the most important session of the night, John, because this is a chance for all 18 drivers to get out there, run a little bit of, run some laps with traffic, and find out what the track state's going to be like when they actually go green for the main event.
Yeah, and this is also a time they need to be testing. Don't try to set the fastest lap. Go up top, figure out what you need to do to get around up top. Go to the bottom, figure out, where you need to be lifting and to keep your car on the bottom to get around quick. Go through the middle, try a slider line. You can't always choose your lane out there. Sometimes guys are going to be in your lane. You have to be prepared to pass a number of different ways. So you better know what your car is going to do in those circumstances.
And I feel like, John, in traffic especially, once the track really opens up like this and becomes multi-lane, it really comes down to decision making and last minute decisions of picking, okay, I'm going to run this lane this time in this corner, and you could be faster than the driver in front of you for 9 laps, but on the 10th lap, if you decide to go up to the non-preferred line, especially when you have drivers up in front of you also choose that line, that could be the difference maker between winning or losing, or gaining and losing a spot.
Absolutely. You've got to be able to know and make it work. So if you commit to something, that goes back to needing to test. You've got to test those different lines out and listen to your crew chief and your spotter to, listen to your lap times. Know where you're faster.
See here on the board, John Wilson actually top of the board in the warm-up. And, I got to say I was pleasantly surprised with John Wilson, how he went up and just absolutely took that lead away from Spies in the C main, I believe it was. He's been one of those drivers who's been in Bootleg Racing League for a decent amount of time now, but he seems to be steadily getting better.
Yeah, he's much improved over the last couple of seasons, and I think if he keeps on the trajectory he is, you're going to see him steal a win here, and it won't be stealing, he's going to earn it.
For sure, and of course, just as we talked about him, Johnny Ratley goes to the top of the board, but I think it's not, you're not completely caring about the times in these warm-ups. You're caring about how stable does the car look, and you see John Wilson there on screen in the yellow car. He looks quite comfortable down there, and Limaland's one of those tracks I feel like, some drivers really enjoy those bull ring type tracks, and obviously this falls into that category. But John, real quick, what makes this place so fun to you?
because as a driver, you have options. You know, you're not always stuck running the top. Even when we come here in the higher power cars with like sprint cars, the wing sprint cars, we can get those cars to work on the bottom, through the middle, up top. And, you know, when you have options and it's just not follow the leader, or, you know, you got to wait for the guy in front of you to make a mistake, that becomes so much more fun as a driver. You can go and just race.
Yeah, we always love multi-lane racetracks, and this track now is going to have a totally different sense of feel once we get this feature started, with how much wear is being put on it just in this warm-up session, with all 18 drivers out there putting down a bunch of laps.
Yeah, in fact, just this warm-up session has wore the track in quite a bit from where it was even at the end of the last B main there. So everybody should be taking notes. Their brains should be working like a computer and be processing a lot of information in a short amount of time here.
When we get going, some of the most anxious moments at a track like this is the starts and the restarts, because everybody is so jam-packed together, and you know, one misjudgment on corner entry, for example, can cause contact and really stack up the field here. And sometimes it's a matter of survival on those starts that can make the difference between having a really good finish.
Yeah, and you throw into the fact that iRacing, their last build, what was it? I think maybe August or maybe September. I don't remember exactly when it was. They put a little bit of a different damage model into these cars here, and you know, you've got to take care of your cars. If you hit something hard enough, the damage you're going to get, either you're going to have to pit or you're going to be driving a wounded car that's well off the pace.
Yeah, we do know how, you know, hitting your wheel into the wall, for example, can make it for some suspension damage, can really end your night. But speaking of the end, it's the end of our warm-up. We're ready to get the main event going here in the Bootleg Racing League Dirt Street Stock Series. Starting on pole tonight, it's Zachary Loomis, the winner of Week 1 of this season. Brandon Proudfoot will start next in second. Last week's winner, William Hargraves, starts in third, with Billy Northcutt in fourth. Adam Carlisle starts in 5th, and J.R. Shepard will be 6th. Chris Davis will be in 7th. Cody Shaw starts in 8th, and the halfway mark in the field, John Wilson starts in 9th. Rounding out the top 10 is Johnny Ratley. John?
Starting in 11th is going to be Steven Spees. Next to him will be Dylan Corey. Michael Moniz is going to be starting 13th. Next to him will be Grady Wade. Bobby Hayes and Jason Best are in the next row, and rounding out your field tonight is going to be the number 12. That's Hunter Hill, and the 56 of Robbie Robinson.
So, John, I want to pick your brain here real quickly. If there's one trait or one skill that you think a driver or car needs to win this race, what do you think it would be?
Patience. You're going to have to be patient. You pick the throttle up, you will spin the tires, as warren as this track is. You've got to be patient, because if we get a long green flag run, they're going to be in traffic. So the leaders are going to have to possibly deal with traffic if we do get those longer green flag runs. And if you're back in the pack with cars up high, down low, you know, passing is going to be a little hectic. You've got to be patient and not put yourself in a bad position, because, you know, 15-second laps, 16-second laps, things can go right quick.
Here we go. Green flag is out. A 40-lap feature is green for the Bootleg Racing League Dirt Street Stock Series. You see there, Loomis takes the lead, clears into turn 3, but he does have a challenge from Brandon Proudfoot on the high side. Look at the momentum from the 22, as he's kind of forced to stay up in the high line, with William Hargraves poking his nose down low. Ooh, Proudfoot nearly up into the outside.
J.R. Shepard's around.
Oh, JR is around, and that will be caution number 1. I'll have to take a look.
I think JR had a little bit of help when you see a car get turned around in the middle of the straightaway.
Yes, looks like the 99 got behind him of Cody Shaw. See here, boy, it really don't look like a whole lot of contact, but his car went around really quickly. And I'm not sure if JR will get his spot back. A good chance he doesn't. And again, that's 2 weeks in a row for JR where he has essentially gone to the back of the field and will have to now come all the way back through to see if he can finish in a decent spot.
Well, if there's a guy that can do it, it's JR. It goes back to when I said patience. JR is about the most patiently fast driver that I know, and he'll slice and dice. It'll be fun to see how far up he can get.
Yeah, and obviously that right there, that's going to be a test of his patience in more ways than one. You know, first you're in the back because of track position, but you know, you're frustrated because you lost all your track position. You got 40 laps only to make it back up. But like you said, JR is very capable of making up spots. But we're doubled up here, ready to get going green. Starting lap 3. Here we go. Loomis again on the loud pedal down into turn 1, and it's kind of a repeat of the initial start. Brandon Proudfoot way up at the top, almost looks uncomfortable up there as he's using up every bit of grip he can.
Yeah, and it's almost like restrictor plate racing up top there. You need a lap or two to get everything right to start really building that momentum. But wait about lap 4, maybe 5 into a run, and you're going to watch that top probably start to creep back up towards the front.
Boy, and I don't even know what to watch right now. There's so many battles on track. We're essentially 2x2, a little bit of 3-wide action down through the pack. Ryan Seneca doing a great job showing all the views of the battles on track. You got 3-wide there. Dylan Corey having a little bit of contact with Jason Best. But these full-frame street stocks, they can deal with a little bit of contact, John, and drivers take advantage of that fact.
Yeah, they sure do, and you can get away with a lot more. And you know, you can also have some pretty dire consequences. Michael Meniz and JR just got hit again.
Yeah, Meniz got sideways saved. I think one driver, Robbie Robinson, basically stopped on track right now. He got the short end of that stick, but he's able to get going at the back of the field, and we stay green at the moment. Kind of surprised of that, but we're going to keep going here. As you see the field starting to string out just a little bit, and Loomis has taken the lead and is holding that. Robbie Robinson not that far ahead of these leaders at this point. Hargraves second, Proudfoot third, Northcutt fourth, in the first side-by-side battle, Chris Davis and Adam Carlisle for fifth.
Boy, that's really bad luck for Robbie. Right now he's thinking, man, I really like to see a caution.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, John, I'm watching the leaders, and I'm definitely seeing a lot of drivers experiment with the higher line, but the leaders still kind of staying true to that middle line.
Yes, they are, and they'll burn it up. I mean, a lot of the guys, there's only a handful of guys going up top right now, but give it time. We still got a long way to go to get through here. They'll go back up the track.
I'd like to take a look at a battle for around 10th place with Dylan Corey, John Wilson, Jason Best. They're all going at it, and another battle right in front of them is on your screen. John Wilson. Yeah, there we go. John Wilson on screen. These guys, a lot of really clean racing, though. These guys are going at it, but they're a little bit of bumping, but that's fair game. And I like seeing the different lines everybody's experimenting with. And, John, when you're back in traffic, even if it's not the greatest line, you're forced to experiment.
Absolutely, because you've got to pass guys where they're not. And, you know, the guy that in front of you might be in the exact lane that you want to be in. Well, you need to figure out how to get your car around him and do it cleanly, and figure out how to build momentum and make that pass.
So giving an update on J.R. Shepard, he has only been able to gain enough spots to go up to 16th, so basically only 2 spots since the restart. But again, he had to check up for more contact with Meniz under this green flag run. As you're taking a look about mid-pack there, John Wilson still sticking his nose in there, and Best and Corey still side-by-side for that 10th position. Up at the front, no change, but the leaders are getting a little bit closer to Robbie Robinson. Robbie's doing a great job holding these leaders off for as long as he possibly can. I think he'll probably show some sportsmanship, let these leaders go by once they approach him, but he wants to stay on the lead lap as long as possible.
Absolutely, and then you know they're coming, and you just got to pick a lane, stay in it, and hopefully you can stay fast enough to keep them at bay until a caution.
Approaching halfway here, it's a 40-lap feature, and we're starting lap 18. Looks like the 2 leaders slightly pulling away from... Oh, and Robbie's wrecked in front of the field. Oh, contact with second place. William Hargraves. We'll have to see if his car is wounded. That was a pretty hefty hit. They're off of turn 2. Looks like Hargraves kind of testing his car out to see if it's damaged. You'll see the replay here from the blimp. Take me through this, John. What happens?
It looks like Robbie's trying to stay really high and maybe stay out of the way, and he just kind of catches the wall and it sucks him into it. And there's a little opening back there, and he caught it. And man, I tell you, that's a tough break for Robbie. That was a pretty hard hit for him. But Hargraves, I'd be a little worried about.
Yeah,
Hargraves got him pretty good.
Yeah, he did hit him pretty good. Hopefully he hit him mostly with the front end and not, I think suspension-wise he's okay. He's kind of, you see him there under pace laps kind of testing it out, seeing how the car feels. And I think he's going to send it one way or another. But we'll have to see what kind of pace he has. As again, we're not quite halfway through this feature event. And I was just saying that Hargraves and Loomis were pulling away from Proudfoot and the rest of the field. But now the drivers are bunched back up and they'll have to do this all over again. Robbie Robinson now in the pits. Looks like he is pretty much done for the night. So we're double file here once again. Loomis in control of the field. It's a lot slicker on the bottom. We'll see what kind of drive he gets. He gets good drive off of turn 4. And yeah, I wonder if there's some damage on Hargraves' car. He's passed for second and he might be dropping through the field here.
Yeah, and you know it too as a driver. As soon as you step on the gas and get into turn 1, and you're just like, oh, I should have pitted. But it looks like he is up on the top side, and like I said, that takes a couple 2-3 laps after a caution to build that momentum and start maybe seeing if it's fast enough. And now he's stabilized and actually kind of rolling it back up to the front there.
Yeah, I almost wonder if maybe he just kind of got bamboozled on the start by Brandon Proudfoot. And Proudfoot, just like that, is looking for the lead. He's looking for a slide job here into turn 4. Loomis sees it coming. And we're going to be 3 wide off of turn 4 as Hargraves sticks his nose onto the outside. Loomis clears into the lead, but he's going to have a challenge from Hargraves off of turn 2. Not quite, and now Loomis is going to have to continue to play defense 2 ways here, both on the bottom and the top.
Yeah, he is. And, as I predicted, though, look where they're at. They're all the way back up top now, for the most part.
Yeah, and Loomis actually deciding to, he was at the bottom for a while and now decides to go up to the top. Northcutt trying to join into this mess with Carlisle trying to battle him. Plenty of battles throughout the top 10, but this battle for the lead is very close as now Hargraves trying to clear again, and he does. Clears back into second place. Good work by the 71, and I think Hargraves looks like his car may be damaged, but not to the point where it's affecting performance.
Yeah, he's. I think he dodged a bullet. No, Chris Davis is around.
Oh, and at the same moment there, you looked at a potential change for the lead, which will not count. Hargraves went for a beautiful slide job, but it looks like it'll go back to the last lap, so Loomis will retain his spot. We'll have to take a look at the replay here of what caused the caution. Looked like contact between Steven Spies and Chris Davis set that one off. You see there, Spies just drives it in really deep on Chris Davis, and they hit a couple times, and sometimes you can get away with that, but depending on how these cars bounce, can sometimes send one driver around, and just like clockwork, the 98 car involved yet again.
Yeah, and that whole incident started over in turn 4. Davis attempted a slide job and parked it on Steven's nose, and they made contact all the way down the front straightaway and finally wrecked it going into 1 and 2 there.
That's a good point, John, because sometimes you look at these wrecks and you see the initial contact, but you don't see what necessarily led to the wreck. So it's good insight on your part. Contact on the pace lap in the back of the field big time, as that really jumbles up the start. You see in the back half of the field, they're already pretty fanned out, but here we go green anyway.
Oh, somebody up front brake checked everybody. That's not cool.
Well, we'll have to take a look at that later. Let's bookmark that for later. But Loomis, for the time being, up in the front. This is starting lap 26, on to 27, up at the top side. Trying to a 2-wide battle for second. Brandon Proudfoot and William Hargraves are side by side yet again. Kind of the same story as last restart. We'll see if Hargraves is able to get that spot back. Took him quite a few laps to make it happen last time.
Yeah, and it goes back. I've been saying it all night. When you're up top, you need 2, maybe 3 laps to build momentum to start to really get that to work.
Oh, slide job from Brandon Proudfoot, and then taking advantage of this Hargraves. He's going to dive below both of these guys, put on a slide job of his own. Will he take the whole lane? He does not. He gives a little bit of space to Brandon. We're 3 wide down into turn 3.
Boy, these guys are playing chess out there. Very, very deliberate with their moves and great racing.
Yeah, we're still 3 wide. We're getting to the point where about 10 laps to go, and just like that, Loomis has lost 10 spots. Hargraves is sliding up, but he's giving that lane to Proudfoot, and I really think that's going to gift Proudfoot that lead. Don't you think he maybe could have been a little more aggressive on the slider, but maybe he's keeping something in his back pocket here?
Quite possibly. You know, these guys, if you hear them talk, they got a lot of respect for each other, so they're not going to mess with each other too much here, and then that's a good thing. But they are, make no mistake about it, they are racing really hard right now.
And Adam Carlisle pokes his way into the top 5. He's been around 5th all night long, but he's now actually looking for 3rd and 4th place at the moment, side by side with Loomis. I think Loomis kind of stuck on the bottom. I think the bottom is finally starting to really go away.
Yeah, that top side, I would definitely be up there right now. That's where I'd be hanging out and have my car every lap.
Billy Northcutt, he is still riding the bottom side. Looked like Carlisle into the wall a decent bit off of turn 2. Turn 2's been kind of a bugaboo for some of these drivers, making wall contact when they're trying to run that high line, but most drivers running that top regardless. 6 laps to go. Hargraves is running out of time to try to mount a charge on Brandon Proudfoot. They're right up at the edge. They're right up at the wall. 5 laps to go, and Proudfoot has got the largest lead he's had all night.
Yeah, I think Proudfoot's going to be really tough to beat here, and have to make a mistake or something. Oh, and Hargraves went into the wall there in 3 and 4.
Going around goes Loomis, and that's going to be a pileup.
Yeah, and that started with the 71 in the wall.
Yes, it did. I think Hargraves probably just... It looked like he really had a push in the middle of the corner, and he had to check up big time, and it just wasn't enough. Hit the outside wall, and that checkup really... When you're right on somebody's tail, it's really hard to... it's almost impossible to check up in time, but the really good run for Loomis is down the drain.
Yeah, and the small mistake there by Hargraves, and now, especially after the bill, I've noticed when you actually get into the wall like that, your car almost does come to a stop. It feel, at least from my perspective, and I've hit a few walls here since we had the build, I feel like it grabs your car and slows you down a lot more.
And Loomis is actually in the pits at this point, so that's going to be pretty much day done for him. So he did a lot of hard work up at the front. It'll be to no avail, as we will only have a few laps to go. Looks like this will be a single file restart here, and we're going to basically be starting lap 38, so it'll be 3 laps to go. And I think Hargraves, I would say the first few corners, I would think he would have to start to make a move. Here we go, Brandon Proudfoot with a good jump off of turn 4. Really good jump off of turn 4. Hargraves does run the bottom line. It's not a slider line, though. He's not close enough to contest, as Proudfoot has a good run off of turn 2. Hargraves trying to make that middle line work. John, you said that line takes a little bit of time to come in up top, but Proudfoot making it work as we got 2 laps to go now. It's a 2-horse race up at the front. But Steven Spees now poking his way up into the top 4, trying to look for 3rd place possibly on Billy Northcutt, who took over that spot from when Loomis wrecked. White flag is out one more time around here at Limaland. Brandon Proudfoot up top. Will Hargraves try anything more? Ooh, a little bit of contact between 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Down into turn 3 for the final time. It'll be Brandon Proudfoot will be victorious. Billy Northcutt steals 2nd place, and 3rd place will go to, it looked like, Steven Spees, who grabbed it right at the end. So a couple changes in positions right there at the end.
Yeah, what a great finish. Those guys did an excellent job, and pretty good race here. Cars all over the track. That's why, as a driver, that's why this place is a blast.
Yeah, we had some comers and goers, but it'll be interesting to talk to a few of these drivers When we come back, we'll take a quick break, go over the finishing results, and we'll interview our top 3.
This is the world's premier online racing simulation. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat from your home computer with the most realistic online motorsports experience you'll find anywhere. Race virtually in the world's biggest events with officially licensed series, cars, and tracks. From the high banks of Daytona to the blistering speeds of Indianapolis, the dirt of Eldora to the world's most legendary road courses. It's all here, and with more than 180,000 people just like you already driving, you'll always have someone to race. Ready to get behind the wheel? Sign up at iRacing.com to get started.
We are back with the Bootleg Racing League Dirt Street Stock Series from Limaland Motorsports Park. We just watched a barn burner of a feature race. Here are your results from the 40-lap feature. It's Brandon Proudfoot up top in first place. Billy Northcutt finishes second. Steven Spees third. William Hargraves ends up fourth. Cody Shaw with a solid run in fifth place. John Wilson comes home sixth. J.R. Shepard went to the back of the field, ends up recovering up to seventh place. I think he'd be relatively happy with that at least. Michael Benise ends up 13th to 8th tonight. Dylan Corey ends up 9th, and Chris Davis finishes 10th. John?
Yeah, coming home 11th is going to be Jason Best. After him will be Johnny Ratley. Grady Wade will finish 13th. Adam Carlisle will be 14th. Bobby Hayes will come home 15th, and 16th will be Hunter Hill. 17th will be Zach Loomis, definitely the hard luck driver of the night. He had the pole and was up front for most of the race, and that wreck there right at the end kind of sunk him. And then rounding out your field tonight is going to be Robbie Robinson.
It looks like we will be able to talk to our big winner tonight, Brandon Proudfoot. Brandon, boy, it looked like you really had to work for that one. Not really any obvious favorite out there, but how would you describe the racing?
Fun, just downright fun. The track was really black, top to bottom, and there early on it actually went to the middle, which a lot of people will say that's actually kind of reassuring for Limaland, because it's usually such a top dominant track, and we were actually moving quite a bit tonight, and it was a blast.
Well, yeah, that really became one of the biggest factors. Is, you know, you guys seem to be running different lines every single corner, and take me into the psychology of that. How do you figure out just at last second, you know, I'm going to run the top side this lap, or I'm going to run the bottom side? It's just a lot of quick decision making, and that probably helped lead you to victory.
I'll be honest with you, it was just a crapshoot. There was no real secret to, at least for the first 30 laps, there was no secret. It was depending on where each driver was comfortable, and that's where I tried starting. And the middle definitely ran a little bit stronger early on because the marbles were caked up, but once they started going away, it was a clean slate. Everybody kind of run wherever they wanted, wherever they were comfortable. And eventually, I'm not sure what car it was, but I heard a second vehicle coming up on me. And I seen that Zach was running the middle and I was running the bottom. So, process of elimination, either they're running the same line as me or they're running the top. And then once we got that one restart, I seen William go to the top. I'm like, okay, then and then under caution, I look behind me and I seen it was Billy. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So I tried the middle. I tried the top early on, tried the middle, then I went to the bottom, and now it's clean slate. Go back to the top, and that's just where I ended up tonight.
And do you think with there being a couple late cautions there really kind of bunched up the field? There was one point where in the first half of the race where the two leaders actually kind of were pulling away from you a little bit. Do you think those second half cautions kind of helped you?
For sure. I tried the top, I think, for the first about 5 laps, and whenever you're running on a black like that, it's all about tire conservation. It's all about not spinning your tires too excessively early on, especially going through the corner. And once I did those 5 laps up top, I had to play medic to my tires. I had to make it to where I wasn't kicking as sideways as them, but at the same time not losing too much ground to where I'm going to start falling back through the field. So those cautions definitely played a part tonight for sure.
Well, you're the third different winner in 3 races this season. A great run for you tonight. Who would you like to thank for the victory?
General Tire, Rigid, Next Level Racing for the team sponsors, and personal sponsors, Crafted, Jim Beaver Esports, Regular Racing Engines, Steve Gates, and then you guys here at Virtual Grip Network for doing the broadcast, Lol for doing the league, and anybody else that does stuff in the background. Fiance, friends, and family that root me on. Thanks, guys.
It was good talking to you, Brandon. Good win tonight. We'll see you in the next one.
And we'll see.
That was Brandon Proudfoot, our winner tonight, and John Hine is caught up with our second place finisher, Billy Northcutt.
Yeah, Billy, this is John up at the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, sure do.
Man, that was fun to watch. How fun was it in your seat tonight?
Man, I was driving like a wild man out there, felt like, because every line worked. So it was like you would find something and think you'd be on the way to victory or passing everybody, and then they just run whatever the heck line they wanted, and they were just as fast, you know, like, and I love that. I was just telling everybody in the other chat, in the race chat, how for a while there, this track got a little bit one-laned up top there for a handful of months with some of the iRacing updates, and I kind of really lost the joy of this track for a while. And this here tonight, it like welcomed back the track that I was used to when I first got the simulator. I mean, we were going crazy out there. You didn't have to rim ride to be fast, and I love that. I'd rather be picking just random lines that nobody likes to run. That's how I like to do it. And sometimes it's just not possible. You have to stay in this certain line or you're super slow. And if that's not the case anymore, that's going to make all these races really fun.
Well, I tell you, from our standpoint watching, it's just incredible racing. You guys were 3 and 4 wide more times than I can count tonight, and you made it work. You know, the give and take, and a track like this where these, even though the track's wide, the corners are still pretty tight. You know, how hard is that from the seat to keep track of where everybody is around you when you're running that many different lanes out there?
Man, I tell you what, I try to pride myself on being a clean driver, like whether it's in this league or in official races. I've had a stretch where I had 30-some races in a row without an incident point in officials and stuff. I try to do that, and in this race, I was still bonking off of cars left and right. I mean, and a lot of those were my fault because I wasn't necessarily expecting everybody to be 3 wide the whole dang race, you know. And it was like you'd come off that bottom, you don't really know where the hell anybody is, and you're just kind of assuming, and then you kind of bump into somebody, and sometimes it's hard to yank back off of them, you know. And there was a couple times, I mean, Speeds, he could have rolled me down the backstretch a couple times in this race, to be honest with you, if he wanted to, because I kind of pulled up in front of him or into him, and he backed off, and vice versa. I mean, there was a lot of give and take out there. There was still a couple of wrecks, but nobody was really at fault in any of them. I looked back through a couple of them when we were waiting here, and I was just curious what happened and what caused him, and what caused him was awesome racing. Everybody was so tight. If there's any hiccup at all, somebody can sneeze and cause a 3-car wreck. So, but nobody was doing anything out of character, doing anything too crazy or wild. It was just everything felt wild because you had no space in your line because it was 3 wide most of the time.
Yeah, it definitely looked like Talladega plate racing there with everybody packed up like that, but it was a lot of fun to watch. You brought her home in second. Who would you like to give a shout out to?
Man, I gotta give a shout out to Lowell for putting the league on. It's such a long-standing league. You see a lot of them come and go, and there's reasons for that. And Lowell doesn't allow those things to happen here. And I just really appreciate him for dedicating his time and effort to that, to creating this safe space to have fun in. And thanks to you guys for broadcasting. Like I always say, that's a big part of what gets me practicing and wanting to do well, so I can come up here and chat with you guys and chat with my family through you guys, And I want to thank my Dirt Panda teammates for always rooting me on and being there for me. And they're all faster than me 99% of the time. So if you're always chasing somebody better than you, then you're always getting better, So I owe that to them. And just a congrats to Brandon for the win. He's had a string of tough luck for a long time now. For a little while, he's had a bunch of seconds that he could have won, and just some weird stuff happening. And the Earth is back on its axis now. I mean, he's the best driver in here, so it starts to feel strange when he hasn't won for a little while. So good for him for getting back up there and showing what he can do.
Well, congratulations again. I hope to maybe see you. I don't know if you'll come back and run that midget later on tonight right here at Lima, but it'd be cool to see you in there. But good luck. Hopefully we'll see you again, if not next week, and we'll get to talk to you again.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you. I'd love to run that midget race, but I get up at about 3 a.m. for work, so I usually don't stay awake too much longer than these races get over. But I appreciate you guys so much.
Go get some sleep, man, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, take care. Appreciate you.
Yep. That's Billy Northcutt, our second place finisher tonight.
And finally, third place, Steven Spies, our hard charger tonight, 11th to 3rd. Man, how in the world did you pass 8 cars? And it doesn't sound like much, but it really is in a short feature race around a short track where everybody seems so even.
I'm not exactly sure how I did it, Kenny. I think there was a little bit of attrition in front of me, which probably was some of the cars. But you're right. I mean, it doesn't sound like a whole lot when you say 8, but that's a lot of work on that track and a fixed setup and slow cars. I mean, I'm thrilled.
Now, the first 2 guys we interviewed tonight, they talked about just how fun the racing was here at Limaland and how you could really choose whatever lane you wanted to run. Did that kind of play into possibly the, allowing you to make up those positions?
It did. I was trying to run right through the middle. In the warm-up, it was quite a bit faster than the top or the bottom for me. And, kept moving around during the race, and it still seemed to work the best for me. So it's a little hard to get there, though. You got guys trying to run low that maybe overdrive the corner or get a little bit more sideways, and you have to check up. And you got guys running the top that maybe kind of cut down off the corner a little bit. So it's a bit of a dangerous place to be, but I tried to get there whenever I could and make some passes. But, just really kind of following around, and you have to really jump on it. If you see a little mistake, you just have to put your car there, and sometimes you're forcing another driver to make a choice that whether they want to let up or you all want to wreck. And that was some intense but really fun race, and there's a lot of give and take here. I'm not a huge fan of the dirt street stock overall, but it really, really is fun to race here in BRL.
Yeah, that's been the general consensus of just how fun the racing was tonight. But next week, we head to I-55. What are your thoughts going to that track? Relatively new to the iRacing service.
I like the track generally so far. Whenever I've raced it, I'm trying to think if I've run a street stock. I'm sure we've run it in BRL maybe once, but I don't remember how it was. So I'm sure we always have good, tight, close racing here. So hopefully I'll be available and be able to jump in and see if we can get another run. We got on a podium with I think second place last week, a third place this week. It's been a long time since I got back-to-back podiums in BRL. So it's not a win, but hey, it's finishing on the podium here might as well be a win. There's some really, really good street stock drivers.
And Kenny, if he isn't there next week, you'll just know his GPS got him lost and he couldn't find the track.
Ah, yes. He's driving the opposite direction to some other track he wants to race at.
John.
But
we got to the track, just for the record. John doesn't like the way I navigated. We went to I-55 this summer, saw the whatever it was called, the SRX race, which was a good time. So he acts like we didn't make it to the track, but clearly we did. I have a picture to prove it.
That's a nice little story. But Stephen, it's been good to talk to you again. Who would you like to thank for the podium run tonight?
I'd like to thank everybody in BRL again. All the drivers that run. Like I said, it's really, really fun whenever we get these tight tracks and we have a good field of cars because you can trust the guys around you. So that's really the biggest thing. Always like to say thanks to the folks that tune in and watch, especially if they're still hanging out this long after the checkers to hear us talking. And shout outs to Cool Ray and Midwest Turbo and Performance on the car. So anybody that needs heating and cooling stuff in the southeast, go look for Cool Ray. And if you need go fast stuff for a straight line or street car, go look at mtpturbo.com.
All right, Stephen, good run tonight, and we will see you in the next one.
Thanks, Kenny.
That was Stephen Spees, our third place finisher tonight. We'd like to thank him, not William Hargraves, Billy Northcutt, and Brandon Proudfoot for taking the time to talk to us. John, I can't say that I've ever been a fan of this track, at least from a driver's standpoint, but at least from a spectator standpoint, it was a lot of fun watching the creative racing out there.
Yeah, this track is just so much fun, in my opinion, as a driver. When it opens up like that, and you heard all three of those guys just say, hey, it was pick your lane where you think you can go the fastest in. And as a driver, when you have options and don't have to root and gouge and you can just race, I guaranteed every single one of those guys, even the guys that probably didn't get the finish they wanted, probably ended that race with a smile. And the good news, I think you're going to be back, in about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and we're going to do this again from there, but in a midget.
Yeah, so that's part of the promo tonight, and I was going to ask you about that, John. Do you think this is a kind of a preamble for the next VGN broadcast tonight at 10:30 p.m., which is the sprint car or BRL National Sprint Car Trail from Limaland in the midget? Do you think that this is kind of a preview for what we're going to see in that?
It's all going to come down to car count. If you can burn that track up, then yeah, this is exactly what you see in those midgets. Those street stocks are significantly wider. Those midgets, you can run them bad boys 4 wide around that track and still have plenty of room. So it's like I said, it's one of my favorite tracks, and those midgets can get it around that track.
Looking forward to it, John, and I'm sure you're looking forward to racing in that as well. But the next BRL Dirt Street Stock broadcast will be next Friday, October 14th from I-55 Raceway. That's live at 7:10 p.m. Eastern. And again, we already promoted the next VGN broadcast tonight at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, BRL National Sprint Car Trail from Limaland Motorsports Park. I will be up in the booth, and I believe Chris Davis will be up in the booth with me. This has been a production of the Virtual Grip Network. I am your host, Kenny Kibbe. Alongside me tonight was John Hine, and directing tonight was Ryan Seneker. Thanks for watching. Hope you all had a good time, and we will see you in the next one.